Hi guys, and welcome back to Hilltop Farm. Welcome to another episode of From the Hen House. And this is part one of our series, The Great Chicken Experiment. Now, those of you that are regulars to the channel will know that I've just finished a series on how to successfully hatch duck eggs. This is kind of a follow-on from that, really, in that I'm going to try my theory with duck eggs. I'm going to apply it to chicken eggs. Now, when I say apply it to chicken eggs, the theory being I'm going to mimic being the mother chicken. So obviously I'm not going to do the same things that I did with the ducks, because as I explained in that, they're water birds and chickens are not. So our humidity is going to be totally different, and there'll be no spraying of the eggs with water or anything like that. Okay, so come along for the ride and we'll see how this goes. It could be a screaming disaster, it could be great, who knows. Now this video wasn't planned, in fact this whole exercise wasn't planned, but the ducks over with, I was planning to pack the incubators away till we needed them next. But we were talking and we were sort of saying how we were a bit disappointed with the results of our upgrading of the chicken flock. Those of you that have been following us will know we actually completely culled our chicken flock and decided we wanted to start afresh, and couldn't decide on a particular breed. We just knew we wanted heritage chickens, so we decided we'd get fertile eggs from here, there and everywhere from all different breeds, and that we would actually try and get one or two hens of different breeds. And that hasn't quite panned out. We've got some breeds that we didn't get anything from worth keeping, or we didn't get any girls, and then we've got others like the Barred Rocks where we've got 6 and we don't want 6, and there's a couple of them. I mean, we've got a light Sussex out there that's sort of, I mean, she seems alright, but she's got a deformed claw that sort of makes her look like an old crone, and she doesn't seem to have tail feathers. It's like someone whacked her up the backside with a tennis racket. So, poor little thing, but I can't deal with her. Every time I look at her I go into fits of the giggles. So we've decided that she can go to freezer camp. So we're going to go through them all and work out the ones that we do want to keep. And there are some, but it's probably only half a dozen or so. So we thought, okay, what do we replace them with? What breed do we go for? And we found this chap way on the other side of the city. We had to schlep all the way up there today. But he was advertising that he basically has got a whole gamut of breed of chickens. He's got Australorps, Light Sussex, Silver Sussex, French Wheaten Moran, I think they're called either Ancana or Americana or something like that, Barnevelders, anyway, Wyandottes, I think they're golden, but they might be silver or both, I don't remember. But he's got a whole gamut, but he's got them all free ranging together. So they're heritage breeds, heritage birds, but they're all jumping on each other and having a free-for-all, which is great, because I thought, well, right, we're not restricted then to get a dozen of these and a dozen of these and a dozen of these. I thought we'd just get 2 dozen. It's a mishmash. We'll get goodness knows what. It'll be fun. So we went there, and he was advertising them online, $15 a dozen. Right now, I don't know what part of the world you're in, but $15 a dozen is pretty cheap here. It's normally $25 to $35 a dozen, and the rarer breeds, like I paid $60 plus $30 for postage for the Black Copper Morans, and we've ended up with one $90 hen out there. She better lay golden eggs is all I can say. But that'll give you an idea of sort of the price range. So $15 a dozen I didn't think was bad. So we go out there armed with our $30, and when we get there, he's this lovely old boy, and turns out I misunderstood. It's $15 a dozen for the ones that he knows the breed of. Like if he can guarantee you a dozen of a particular breed, it's $15. The ones I was after, the mishmash ones, were $5 a dozen, which is insane. A dozen eggs in the supermarket costs more than that, but I wasn't going to argue. So that was fine. So $10 he charged me. Then he said, how much room do you have in your incubator? And I said, oh, plenty. Why? He said, you don't want these, do you? He said, I'm just going to fry them up and give them to my dogs. And I don't know if you can see the far end of the table there. There's a dozen mixed bantam. I don't know if they're a particular breed or various breeds. He just said they're bantams. So that's in the end one. So there's a dozen of those. The blue ones that you can see next one along, that's a dozen silkies that he was just going to feed to the dogs. And of course these two are the ones that I paid for. So for $10 we've come away with 4 dozen fertile eggs. I couldn't believe it. I mean, we're talking about $2.50. I mean, $2.50. We charge more than that for our infertile eggs that people buy from us. We charge $5 a dozen for those. We got these for $2.50. So we sort of figured for $2.50 it's a good time to experiment, because if it's a disaster, no great harm done. Not sure what we're going to do with the bantams and the silkies. You can get some rather pretty bantams, and silkies have always intrigued me. We did buy some years ago, we bought a dozen eggs, and when we got there the woman said, I've only got 10, and so she gave them to us for half price for the 10 instead of the dozen. But then she said, I'll put these 2 silky eggs in there. And when they hatched, I think they were both black from memory, and we didn't pay them a lot of attention because we were interested in the other ones, and I think we sold them when they were 2 or 3 days old to someone. But I mean, I don't know whether these are all one colour or it's a mixed coloured flock, or I know nothing about them. So it's going to be a lot of fun hatching this out. So please stay with us and join us on this journey. And I'll let you know what we do, and you'll be able to see how it all goes. Now, what I've done, same that I did with the duck eggs, but I'll start from scratch, because some of you may not have watched the ones on the ducks and possibly aren't interested enough to want to watch that series just to find out what I'm doing here. So I'll start again. I've got these containers. I'm going to try not using turners. I think they're a fantastic idea, and if you've got lots of eggs, which you kind of have, but I think they do serve a purpose. I get it. I I don't know whether it's an hour turner. I'm just not 100% happy with it, so I'm going to try not using it. Okay, I'm being mama hen, and each one of these is a nest. Now, I've put wood shavings in the bottom, and I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that? There. Got wood shavings in the bottom. Now, I've sprayed, before the eggs went in, I've sprayed all the wood shavings just to make them damp. They're sort of moist, damp, but they're not wet. And that, to me, it helps them settle. When I say settle, it means that they will naturally form a little concave for the egg to sit in if they go in wet as opposed to dry, and it will stay there once it dries. Okay? It just means for the first couple of days the humidity is rather high, but I don't think that will make much difference just for a couple of days. So anyway, I put wood shavings, not sawdust, because sawdust I think will affect their eyes when they hatch, because it's like powder. So this is not like that. This won't hurt them. As I say, this is what we use with the ducks, and their eyes are fine, so that's what I'm going with. So wood shavings, dampen them down, mark all the eggs with an X on one side and a 0 and an O on the other, so that you know when you've turned them over. Now, these will go in the incubator, right? I will not put any water in the reservoir of the incubator itself. One, it's a bloody hassle every time you need to top it up or check it. You've got to take everything out, and you've got to take the mesh flooring out of these things, and too big a hassle for my liking. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to fill them up at all. I will put 2 trays per incubator, and obviously you can see I've got 2 incubators here. These will go in. Now, I don't know if you can see in there, but in there is a container. It's roughly, I'd say, 7 inches by 5 at a rough guess, and probably 3 to 4 inches deep. And that's where I put the water in. Now, after the first couple of days, when the wood shavings dry out, it will actually settle, the humidity will settle down. I'm aiming for the humidity to be between 50 and 55, preferably up near 55, but I don't really want it dropping below 50. And preferably not over 55. I mean, it's 56. I mean, we're not going to, you know, split hairs about things like that, but you certainly don't want it up 59, 60. That's more what I'm aiming for with my ducks. So this, yeah, if you can get it at 53, 54, I reckon you're spot on. Okay, so these will go in there. I set the temperature to 37.5, which is the optimum temperature for chicken eggs. That's obviously 37.5 Celsius. I don't know what it is in Fahrenheit off the top of my head, but I'll put it here so it'll roll over. Yeah, so that's the temperature I'm gonna do it on, and I think that's it. Now, turning them 3 times a day, 8 hours apart, most important. Okay, work it around your schedule, and if you can't do the 8 hours apart, get as close as you can to that. I do it at about 5:30 after I've sort of gotten up and conscious. 5:30, sort of 1:30 in the afternoon, and then sort of 9:30 for bed. And that way it's all sort of staggered. If I'm running late at lunchtime and I don't get to it till 2:30 or 3, well, so be it. That's when I do it. But I try and get it as close to 8 hours between as possible. As I say, this is what I do with the ducks, and I'm going to mimic the same thing with these. The main difference between what I'm doing with these and the ducks is the humidity and moisture that I put into the ducks. I will not be doing, obviously, with chickens. So that's really about it. These will sit here, because as I said, we only picked them up today. These will sit here probably for another few hours just to settle. They haven't had a particularly rough journey. I mean, they've only had a car trip, and it was on you know, good sealed roads. They haven't been on any dirt roads and been shaken up or anything. No flights or anything like that. So I think they'll be good to go in a few hours. Yeah, and then we'll turn them on and we'll start monitoring the times on the temperatures and everything on here. When they're 7 to 10 days, I'll probably bring you back. We'll candle them and we'll see what's what we've got. And depending on the fertility rate, we may be able to condense some of this down so there's not so many trays. I don't know, we'll have to wait and see. But I think that's about it. Now, if you've watched my previous video, no pressure, but consider being a Patreon, and there'll be a link below to the Patreon account. But as I say, you don't have to, there's no pressure. There'll still be videos going to be posted here on YouTube, so don't worry about that. It just basically at this stage, it helps the channel with the production of the films, and yeah, just getting the videos out to you. Okay, so that's it. We will be back in a week's time. Alright? Hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss any more of our videos. Hit the little bell, grey bell next to the subscribe button so that the next one in the series that comes out, you'll be notified that it's out. Give us a big thumbs up if you enjoyed this, and until next time, it's goodbye from Hilltop Farm. See ya!